Reading through the Bible in 1 year, June 8th, Deuteronomy chapter 12, Psalms 97 through 98, Isaiah 40, and Revelation chapter 10. These are the statutes and the judgments which you shall carefully observe in the land which the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you to possess, as long as you live on the earth. You shall utterly destroy all the places where the nations whom you shall dispossess serve their gods. On the high mountains and on the hills and under every green tree. This is important because this comes up later. Remember how I said before that they start falling away? And these are the kind of things that they start doing and following after. That's why God says you must go in and utterly wipe these things out, because God doesn't want them to continue the pursuits that the people who live there had. But they don't. We'll get there. You shall tear down their altars and smash their sacred pillars and burn their Asherim with fire. You shall cut down the engraved images of their gods and obliterate their name from that place. You shall not act like this toward the Lord your God. But you shall seek the Lord at the place which the Lord your God will choose from all your tribes, to establish his name there for his dwelling, and there you shall come. You shall bring your burnt offerings, your sacrifices, your tithes, and the contribution of your hand, your votive offerings, your free will offerings, and the firstborn of your herd and of your flock. And there also you and your households shall eat before the Lord your God, and rejoice in all your undertakings in which the Lord your God has blessed you. You shall not do at all what we are doing here today, every man doing whatever is right in his own eyes. Book of Judges. For you have not as yet come to the resting place and the inheritance which the Lord your God is giving you. So right now they're wandering around. They shouldn't do that. They should stay in the land that he's going to give them. They shouldn't move the temple from place to place. God is going to appoint a certain place to put his temple. That's what he's telling them. And when you cross the Jordan and live in the land which the Lord your God is giving you to inherit, and he gives you rest from all your enemies around you so that you live in security, then it shall come about that the place in which the Lord your God will choose for his name to dwell, that there you shall bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings, your sacrifices, your tithes and the contribution of your hand, and all your choice votive offerings which you will vow to the Lord. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God, you and your sons and your daughters, your male and female servants, and the Levite who is within your gates, since he has no portion or inheritance with you. Be careful that you do not offer your burnt offerings in every cultic place you see, but in the place which the Lord your God chooses in one of your tribes. There you shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I command you. However, you may slaughter and eat meat within any of your gates, whatever you desire, according to the blessing of the Lord your God, which he has given you. The unclean and the clean may eat of it, as of the gazelle and the deer. Only you shall not eat the blood. You are to pour it out on the ground like water. You are not allowed to eat within your gates the tithe of your grain, or new wine, or oil, or the firstborn of your herd or flock, or any of your votive offerings which you vow, or your freewill offerings, or the contribution of your hand. These are what are called dedicated things. They were dedicated to God, either by command or by the people. So if they dedicate them to God, then they belong to God, and they shouldn't use them for whatever they want. But you shall eat them before the Lord your God in the place which the Lord your God will choose, you and your son and your daughter and your male and female servants, and the Levite who is within your gates. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God in all your undertakings. Be careful that you do not forsake the Levite as long as you live in your land. When the Lord your God extends your border, as he has promised you, and you say, I will eat meat because you desire to eat meat, then you may eat meat, whatever you desire. If the place which the Lord your God chooses to put his name is too far for you, or too far from you, then you may slaughter of your herd and of the flock which the Lord has given you, as I have commanded you, and you may eat within your gates whatever you desire. He's saying if it's too far of a journey for you to come due to age or other reasons, and you cannot come to give your sacrifices to God at the place that he desires, which is going to be Jerusalem. They don't know that yet. Then when that occurs, because it's too far for you, you can still dedicate it to God and it'll be okay. But if you don't have anything prohibiting you from going, then you have to make this journey because it's what God has chosen. Remember, they're doing these things so that they will be holy. Remember, holy meaning separate, different, peculiar from the other people around them. The other people in the nations around them, they just go up on whatever's the highest hill that they can find, or under whatever green tree they can find, and they have their orgies and their slaughters and all of these things, and they just have it wherever they feel like. But with God, he's prescribing something different, and so they can only go to certain places. Just as a gazelle or a deer is eaten, so you will eat it. The unclean and the clean alike may eat of it. Only be sure not to eat the blood, for the blood is the life, and you shall not eat the life with the flesh. You shall not eat it. You shall pour it out on the ground like water. You shall not eat it, so that it may be well with you and your sons after you, for you will be doing what is right in the sight of the Lord. Only your holy things, which you may have, and your votive offerings, you shall take and go to the place which the Lord chooses. You shall offer your you shall offer your burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood, on the altar of the Lord your God. And the blood of the sacrifices, blood of your sacrifices, shall be poured out on the altar of the Lord your God, and you shall eat the flesh. Be careful to listen to all these words which I command you, so that it may be well with you and with your sons after you forever. For you will be doing what is good and right in the sight of the Lord your God. When the Lord your God cuts off before you the nations which you're going into to dispossess, and you dispossess them and dwell in their land, beware that you are not ensnared to follow them after they are destroyed before you, and that you do not inquire after their gods, saying, how did these people serve their gods, that I also may do likewise? You shall not behave thus toward the Lord your God, for every abominable act which the Lord hates, they have done for their gods. For they even burn their sons and daughters in the fire to their gods. It's called Moloch. Look it up. People were sacrificing their children so that they would have more money, success in whatever it is that they're doing. It's treated a lot the same way that abortion is treated today, where you see people on Twitter or on the news, so glad that they have abortion available to them so that they're not hindered from pursuing whatever they want to have. And there was a woman 2 weeks ago who on Twitter was basically extolling how happy she was that abortion is available to her, because she doesn't want to be shackled down in her life, utterly ruined if she gets pregnant. So this is what they're doing. They're saying that all of their if they just give up their children, if they just put them in the fire and burn them alive, then they can have whatever their hearts desire. It's the same type of thing. Whatever I command you, you shall be careful to do. You shall not add to it nor take away from it. Again, they are a peculiar people for the sake of God. Let's move on to Psalm 97 through 98. The Lord reigns. Let the earth rejoice. Let the many islands be glad. Clouds and thick darkness surround him. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne. Fire goes before him and burns up his adversaries round about. His lightnings lit up the world. The earth saw and trembled. The mountains melted like wax at the presence of the Lord, At the presence of the Lord, the whole earth. Rather, at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth. The heavens declare his righteousness, and all the peoples have seen his glory. Let those be ashamed who serve graven images, who boast themselves of idols. Worship him, all you gods, lowercase g, meaning again, the lower rulers of the earth, like your mayor, right? Or your president, whatever it happens to be. Zion heard this and was glad, and the daughters of Zion, and the daughters of Judah have rejoiced because of your judgments, O Lord. For you are the Lord, most high over all the earth. You are exalted far above all gods. Again, lowercase g, not saying that there's another god out there. This is a lower ruler of the earth. Hate evil, you who love the Lord, who preserve the souls of his godly ones. He delivers them from the hand of the wicked. Light is sown like seed for the righteous, and gladness for the upright in the earth. Be glad in the Lord, you righteous ones, and give thanks to his holy name. Bringing up the notes for you here. All right, let's go on to Psalm 98. Sing to the Lord a new song, for he has done wonderful things. His right hand and his holy arm have gained the victory for him. The Lord has made known his salvation. He has revealed his righteousness in the sight of the nations. He has remembered he has remembered his loving kindness and his faithfulness to the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God. Shout joyfully to the Lord, all the earth. Break forth and sing for joy and sing praises. Sing praises to the Lord with the lyre and the sound of the melody, or the sound of melody. With trumpets and the sound of the horn. Shout joyfully before the Lord, before the King, the Lord. Let the sea roar and all that it contains, the world and all those who dwell in it. Let the rivers clap their hands and the mountains sing for joy, or sing together for joy before the Lord, for he is coming to judge the earth. He will judge the world with righteousness and the peoples with equity. Let's go on to Isaiah chapter 40. Comfort, oh, comfort my people, says your God. Speak kindly to Jerusalem and call out to her that her warfare has ended, that her iniquity has been removed, that she has received of the Lord's hand double for all her sins. A voice is calling, clear the way for the Lord in the wilderness, make smooth in the desert a highway for our God. Let every valley be lifted up. Let every mountain and hill be made low. Let the rough ground become a plain, and the rugged terrain a broad valley. Then the glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all flesh will see it together. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken. A voice says, call out. Then he answered, what shall I call out? All flesh is like grass, and all its loveliness is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades, and when the breath of the Lord blows upon it, surely the people are grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God stands forever. Get yourself up on a high mountain, O Zion, bearer of good news. Lift up your voice mightily, O Jerusalem, bearer of good news. Lift it up, do not fear. Say to the cities, here is your God. Behold, the Lord God will come with might, with his arm ruling for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his recompense before him. Like a shepherd, he will tend his flock. In his arms he will gather the lambs and carry them in his bosom. He will gently lead the nursing ewes. Who has measured the waters and the hollow of his hand, and marked off the heavens by the span, and calculated the dust of the earth by the measure, and weighed the mountains in a balance, and the hills in a pair of scales? Who has directed the Spirit of the Lord, or as his counselor has informed him? With whom did he consult, and who gave him understanding? And who taught him in the path of justice, and taught him knowledge, and informed him of the way of understanding? Behold, the nations are like a drop from a bucket, and are regarded as a speck of dust on the scales. Behold, he lifts up the islands like fine dust. Even Lebanon is not enough to burn, nor its beasts enough for a burnt offering. All the nations are as nothing before him. They are regarded by him as less than nothing and meaningless. Remember this when you're worried about who the president is, or who's being elected somewhere or something else, or what's warring against what nation for what reason. These mean nothing to God. And they mean nothing to him as far as stopping him from doing whatever it is he wants to do. God is the one who raises up nations for a specific purpose. It's like John Calvin said, when God wants to judge a nation, he gives them wicked rulers. Why? Because he knows how they're going to act, and he allows them to do so. To whom then will you liken God? Or what likeness will you compare with him? As for the idol, a craftsman casts it. A goldsmith plates it with gold, and a silversmith fashions chains of silver. He who is too impoverished for such an offering selects a tree that does not rot, and he seeks out for himself a skillful craftsman to prepare an idol that will not totter. Do you not know? Have you not heard? Has it not been declared to you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he who sits above the circle of the earth. The term circle here literally means sphere. So we'll get into that later. And its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain, and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. He it is who reduces rulers to nothing, who makes the judges of the earth meaningless. Scarcely have they been planted, scarcely have they been sown, scarcely has their stock taken root in the earth, but he merely blows on them, and they wither. And the storm carries them away like stubble. To whom then will you liken me, that I would be his equal, says the Holy One? Remember, this is the common thing that people have. I had the same problem when I was a young baby Christian. I thought that God was like me. We read in Genesis chapter 1 that, or rather Genesis chapter 2, that God made us in his image. Therefore, God must be like us in some way. That's wholly wrong. Not only is it just wrong, it doesn't make any sense. Because if God was like us, then he would be envious, spiteful, angry, struggling, failing in all ways. We are like him loosely, in the same way that this little doll of mine is like a person. It can't do anything on its own. It has no power, it has no authority. The only worth it has is what I give to it. In the same way that we only have worth because God has attributed it to us. So when we look at God, we are deeply in the wrong when we start to try to lay out the hows and the whys of what God does things because it's what you would do. Or if you start making a God that is one who agrees with you in many things, well, you've created yourself an idol. Because as you see, reading through Scripture, there are many things that God does that we most certainly wouldn't agree with. But again, he's God. We were created for his purpose. We are created for his worship, for his glory. not our own. Lift up your eyes on high and see who has created these stars. The one who leads forth their host by number. He calls them all by name because of the greatness of his might and the strength of his power. Not one of them is missing. Why do you say, O Jacob, and assert, O Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord, and the justice due me escapes the notice of my God? Basically saying, I can do whatever I want, and God will just ignore it. I'm not as bad as my neighbor. I'm certainly not Hitler. Therefore, I should be perfectly fine. I can live my life however I want. God will completely ignore that. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not become weary or tired. Again, he's not like you. And his understanding is inscrutable. He gives strength to the weary, and to him who lacks might, he increases power. Though youths grow weary and tired, and vigorous young men stumble badly, yet those who wait for the Lord will gain new strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not get tired. They will walk and not become weary. And that's all the notes from there. I'm going to bring up the rest here. All right, there we go. Let's go on to Revelation chapter 10. I saw another strong angel coming down out of heaven, clothed with a cloud, and the rainbow was upon his head, and his face was like the sun, and his feet like pillars of fire. He had in his hand a little book, which was open, and he placed his right foot on the sea and his left on the land. That says that he has authority over both the sea and the land, the whole earth. And he cried out with a loud voice, as when a lion roars. And when he cried out, when he had cried out, the 7 peals of thunder uttered their voices. When the 7 peals of thunder had spoken, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying, seal up the things which these 7 peals of thunder have spoken, and do not write them. Then the angel, whom I saw standing on the sea and on the land, lifted up his right hand to heaven, and swore by him who lives forever and ever, who created heaven and the things in it, and the earth and the things in it, and the sea and the things in it, that there will be delay no longer. But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, when he is about to sound, then the mystery of God is finished, as he preached to his servants the prophets. Then the voice which I heard from heaven, I heard again speaking with me, and saying, Go, take the book which is open in the hand of the angel who stands on the sea and on the land. So I went to the angel, telling him to give me the little book. And he said to me, Take it and eat it. Again, eating books like this, it's not something for us to do, right? If you fashion yourself a prophet, don't pick up a hefty tome and just start eating your way through it. The point of this is that in the same way that we're going over the Bible now, carefully reading through it, seeing all the parts, seeing how it lays out against other parts of Scripture together, it's the same type of thing. And we see this throughout normal speech from the prophets, where God gives them a scroll to eat. What it means is you take it in, but it becomes part of you, and then it changes you. So you are then inspired to do things, which is what we see here. It will make your stomach bitter, but in your mouth, it'll be sweet as honey. So when he first takes it in, it's like, oh yeah, this is great. But then it's going to eat him up from the inside. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and I ate it. And in my mouth, it was sweet as honey. And when I had eaten it, my stomach was made bitter. See, that's him being driven to a purpose. And then they said to me, You must prophesy again concerning many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. So see how his stomach was made bitter? So now he's got to take this thing that he's put inside him and get it out. So now he's going to go and tell people all of these things. And that's all the notes for today. We will be back tomorrow. Behold, the word of the Lord.